I'm Vinny Politan. Thank you for joining us tonight here on Closing Arguments. And we begin with big news, but it's not good news. It's big news, but it's not good. I'm talking about the case involving the search for Naomi Irion, 18 years old. We've been following this story. We spoke with the family. We spoke with her mom, with her brother. Missing out of a small town out in Nevada, near Reno. She was just going to work. She was abducted. There was an arrest. And now tonight, worst case scenario, a huge announcement from the sheriff out in Lyon County who've been working this case from the beginning. Let me read for you this announcement. On Tuesday, March 29th, 2022, investigators from the Churchill County Sheriff's Office, along with a detective from the Lyon County Sheriff's Office, responded to a remote part of Churchill County following a tip regarding the disappearance of Naomi Irion. Their investigative actions led them to a possible grave site. Washoe County Sheriff's Office Forensic Investigative Services team was contacted and responded to assist in processing the scene. The body of an adult Caucasian female was recovered from that grave site. The body was transported to the Washoe County Medical Examiner's Office for an autopsy and to confirm identification. On March 30th, 2022, the remains were confirmed as those of Naomi Irion. The family has been notified. No further information can be released at this time, as this is still an open and active investigation. So the family has gotten their answer. Naomi has been found. They were still holding out hope. All of us were, that she would be found alive, but that's not the case tonight. For those of you not familiar with Naomi's story, here it is.
On March 12, 2022, at approximately 05:09 hours, Naomi parks at the Fermi Walmart. At 05:24 hours, the suspect approaches Naomi's vehicle. And at 05:25 hours, Naomi's vehicle leaves the Walmart parking lot with the suspect driving the vehicle.
10 days after she went missing, the Lyon County, Nevada Sheriff's Office told the public about 18-year-old Naomi Irion. She had been abducted from a Walmart parking lot. She was last seen on surveillance video at a convenience store before taking her car to the Fernley Walmart, where she parked to catch a bus to go to work at Panasonic. Police released this surveillance video of the man they believe kidnapped Naomi. They say the man pushed Naomi into the passenger seat of her car and then took off. That car was located 3 days later at a paint plant near the Walmart where she was abducted. But there were no signs of Naomi.
We need news. We need to find her.
Naomi's family was desperately awaiting a break in the case, which came on March 25th, just days after police released this image of a pickup truck they believed had a direct connection to Naomi's whereabouts. The Lyon County Sheriff's Office announced in a press release that they had arrested 41-year-old Troy Driver and were holding him on charges of kidnapping. It was news that Naomi's mother, Diana, says was met with a mixture of emotions.
I'm jubilant and terrified. I'm jubilant because they caught someone and have a truck that matches the description, but I'm terrified it's not the right one.
Not only was she afraid police may have arrested the wrong guy, but there was still no information on where Naomi might be.
You must give up my daughter's location. Please give my daughter back to me. Please.
Unfortunately, Naomi would not be returned safely to her mother. The Lyon County Sheriff's Office announced on March 30th a tip had led them to a possible grave site where they found remains that they have now confirmed to be Naomi Irion. Police have yet to announce whether Troy Driver will be charged in Naomi's death. Driver is currently being held in the Lyon County Jail on a $750,000 bond. You know, it's difficult, but they've got their answer, and she's been found. There's so many families we have on this program, night in and night out, that don't have those answers. Obviously, it's not the answer you want, but anyway, let me show you a map here of what we are talking about here. This is Lyon County to Churchill County. The map begins, we've got the entire state of Nevada, but let's zoom in here on both Lyon County and Churchill County so you can kind of see where they are. Now, Fernley, Nevada. Fernley, Nevada is where she had parked at that Walmart. And I believe the distance we're talking about here is about 55 miles or so between the two locations here. And Churchill County, Nevada is where her remains are actually found. So that's the big news tonight. That's the big news tonight. But the investigation continues because you've got to put together enough evidence to prove who is responsible. They've arrested the man they believe is responsible for the abduction, and now you've got to tie the rest of the case together. Let's bring in our guest. Joining me tonight in Los Angeles, California, retired FBI special agent. He's also the producer of Indivisible Healing Hate, which you should check out, streaming on Paramount Plus right now. Bobby Chacon is with us. In Chicago, Illinois, private investigator Erica Morse. And joining us once again in Portland, Oregon, podcaster Gray Hughes, who has been on top of the story from the beginning. Welcome to everyone. Gray, I'm going to begin with you. Your reaction to learning all this information and kind of putting together some pieces here tonight. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's just absolutely, devastating to the family. I had, the pleasure to have Casey on my show a few different times, and he, you could tell he really wanted his sister to be found safe out there, and it's just, all of our hearts go out to him. It's interesting right now where they found her body, and that sort of coincides with last time I was on, we were talking about how the truck drove by the Sherwin-Williams, his pickup truck, maybe at like around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So that would be 10 hours. And so it sounds like she was found, what was the name of that street? I think it was Coal Canyon Road, actually. And that's way up, I think it's way up north in Churchill County over there. So you would go past like Lovelock up there and then down into Churchill, or you can come from the bottom, which is maybe even more likely because Highway 50 it goes right by Troy Driver's house down on the southern part of Churchill County. So he may have come up from the southern area since he's more familiar with that area.
Bobby Chacon, you've got a man under arrest. He's not cooperating. I don't think you're going to have a confession here, but you've got video. You've got other forensic evidence that you must have gotten from that truck. Now you've got a body. So what are investigators doing tonight?
Well, they're following the trail of the evidence that they found both in her car and in his, now that they have him in custody. I'm sure they've done executed search warrants related to him, either where he worked or where he lived and his vehicles. You're waiting for the forensic examination from the medical examiner to see what you can glean from her body, to see if now it's a matter of matching the physical evidence to what you know, to the other evidence in the case, to what people have told you, to what people have seen, to what you see on the video. So it's matching all of those things to your physical evidence, because you want to get a good match of your physical and your forensic evidence to your testimony by witnesses and surveillance, be it a video camera or a still photograph. So you're just starting to look at all of those things up on your board and seeing how much they match and as much of you can match it together. Of course, you're still waiting on the autopsy or the forensic exam, and that'll take a little while, but you're now they're piecing all those things together now. The picture's becoming clearer, and now it's a matter of getting your evidence in shape and seeing what evidence supports other evidence and tells the story of what happened.
Erica Morse, Gray brought it up how difficult this is for the family to get this result, because they were absolutely holding out hope that she would be found alive, and that's all they cared about. she's not, but they do at least have an answer, right? I mean, I'm trying to look for some silver lining to this extremely dark cloud tonight. That unlike many other families, they've got an answer, but it's the wrong answer, right?
It is the wrong answer. However, there is a term used, especially regarding parents of missing individuals, and that is ambiguous loss. It is the unknown of what happened, where the loved one is, are they alive, are they not alive? And that causes such a level of mental paralysis. And it is an exhausting situation. It causes families to have time loops in their brains over and over. And it is a minute silver lining to have an answer because it is the wrong one. It is the heartbreaking one. However, families that go through this unknown, this ambiguous loss for years and years and years suffer an extreme level of post-traumatic stress that it actually causes damage and changes to the brain and how it acts and how it responds. So, while I am grateful that they have answers, they are also in the worst, most fresh situation of trauma and loss than anyone could imagine.
It's horrific. 18 years old, just going to work. Just going to work. I mean, what 18-year-old wakes up that early in the morning to go to work, right? I mean, that speaks volumes about her character. Gray, if in fact the man who's in custody for the abduction is good for the crime and perhaps good for a murder here. And again, that's an if. That's what trials are about. And that's what investigations are about. But how does the timeline sort of work out here? Can you walk us through, you know, from that morning to where her body is found and kind of put that together for us a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I have I'm speculating some here. I think he parked his truck somewhere around there, maybe around Lowe's or by the Sherwin-Williams. And then he probably walked over to the Walmart parking lot around 5 in the morning and waited for her specifically. I think she was the target of him. And I think at like 5:09, she got there. And then at 5:23, she stopped texting and stuff on her phone. And then he came in from behind her as he was surveilling the parking lot, and then abducted her from the Walmart parking lot. Now there's a ping that's up to the north west a little bit. So did he go up there first? We don't really know what happened after he left the Walmart parking lot. But what's interesting though is that they must have linked his truck to the abduction prior to the shot that you see the truck driving by the Sherwin-Williams. And it turns out that the truck driving by the Sherwin-Williams was at about 3 in the afternoon-ish, around that time, maybe, 2 to 4 o'clock, let's say. But that's still, 8, 9, 10 hours later. So I think it's possible. One of my theories is that he parked at Lowe's, where his truck would be almost, you wouldn't even notice it because there's all kinds of trucks at Lowe's, and it's much closer to the Walmart. And maybe they see him get out of the vehicle at 5 in the morning, walk over there. They see him, a gray sweatshirted guy, walk away from Lowe's. And that's how they were able to say, okay, that truck looks like it's associated. And then later in the afternoon, somebody comes back to the truck, pulls out of Lowe's, and then drives by Sherwin-Williams. And that's how they know that that truck is associated. And her vehicle was found at Sherwin-Williams too. So it's right in this, all of it's in the exact same area. It's crazy. But it had to have been that he came back to get with her car to get out to get into his truck. Because what other reason would he be back there 10 hours later?
Yeah, that's a strange part of all this. So Bobby, again, all this will play out through the investigation, through the trial, et cetera. But you really have two different vehicles you're dealing with in this case.
That's right, and you're trying to determine, when the murder actually took place and where it took place. Did it take place in one of those vehicles, or did it take place somewhere else? You're also trying to work backwards from where you found her vehicle, because conceivably, if he left her vehicle somewhere, he had already disposed of her body, because he's not going to get out of her vehicle and carry her body somewhere. He might have moved it into his truck or something, but then he had to literally walk from where his vehicle was back to his vehicle, right? So all of those pieces, they're a part of the puzzle that they're putting together, and that again they're looking at videos, they're looking at witness statements, they're looking at all the possible physical evidence that can say, how did he get from here to here? We know he was here, we know he was here. How did he get from that place to that place? And what did he have with him? And where was Naomi during this time period? So they're trying to put all those pieces together. We're seeing the major pieces, but what they're doing is trying to tie those pieces together. Where her car was found, back to where his truck was, and all that with the time. And as Grace said, that picture of the truck going by there 8 or 10 hours later is crucial, because that gives you another piece of where he was at a particular place and time.
Okay, folks, we'll continue to track the developments in this story. As everyone's pointed out, autopsy results have to come out. Will there be more charges? Will they arrest someone for the actual murder? All of that still has to happen, and we'll keep an eye on it. Gray Hughes, podcaster, joining us from Oregon tonight. Great to have you on the show again. Appreciate it. Check out his podcast on YouTube, folks. Bobby and Erica are going to stay with us as we come back and open up tonight's unsolved case file. Franklin Benedict, also connected to a Walmart. He was a manager, getting off of work, goes back to his apartment. The power's out, and there's someone inside waiting to kill him? Like, why? Why? That story next.